Hello, this is Under the Arches evaluating the McDonald's experience. Meet our researchers. Hi, I'm Nicole, the team leader and presenter,
Hi, I'm Sophia, lead content creator and presenter.
and our fellow researchers Isabel, Roy, and Eunice. And our research today is focused on the Kirby Drive McDonald's near Rice Village. This McDonald's sits in the heart of Houston's bustling dining and museum district, a high traffic area surrounded by students, commuters, and residential activity. And this location has heavy drive through volume, especially mornings and lunch. And today we'll cover the brand's history, mission and values, brand identity prism, semiotic square and analysis, our methodology and observations, a research analysis, and finally our gap analysis with recommendations.
The history of McDonald's. Starting from the beginning, the very first McDonald's opened in 1940, founded by Richard and Maurice McDonald out in California. Their goal was all about speed and consistency, and that's really where the idea of fast food began. A few years later, between 1954 and 1961, Ray Kroc, who was actually a milkshake machine salesman, joined the company and turned into a massive franchise. His vision is what helped McDonald's expand across the U.S. and eventually the world. By 1972, those famous golden arches had become a global symbol, with McDonald's opening in new countries and adapting to different cultures. And in 1979, they launched the Happy Meal, which quickly became one of their most iconic menu items, especially for families and kids. Now moving into more recent years, in 2003, McDonald's introduced the slogan, "I'm loving it." Fun fact, the jingle was actually sung by Justin Timberlake, and it became one of the most recognizable taglines in the world. In 2015, they rolled out the McDonald's app, letting customers order ahead, earn rewards, and customize their meals, showing how they were keeping up with digital trends. Then in 2020, during COVID, the focus shifted toward drive-thru and delivery, and they also launched the McPlant, a plant-based burger to meet growing demand for sustainable options. And finally, from 2023 to today, McDonald's continues to grow globally, adding digital kiosks, improving convenience, and staying one of the most recognizable brands in the world. McDonald's mission is simple: to make delicious feel-good moments easy for everyone. The values that drive every decision they make include serve people first, be inclusive to everyone, have integrity to do the right thing, create a community of good neighbors, and lastly, family. We get better together. Their overall foundation behind their strategy focuses on running great restaurants, empowering their people, and continuously innovating to serve customers more efficiently.
So, moving on to the brand identity prism, it's a marketing model that helps brands define and manage their core identity, considering both internal aspects like culture and personality and external ones like how customers see and experience the brand. So, the top two are related to the brand. For this McDonald's, the physique is iconic. You have the golden arches, the red and yellow colors, and classic items like the Happy Meal that represent fast, familiar comfort food. And then its personality is playful and witty, that "I'm loving it" vibe, now modernized through celebrity meals and more. For example, in earlier visits, they had the BTS banners and then their fun Monopoly program. And the middle two are related to the brand consumer interaction. The relationship centers on reliability and comfort, that dependable spot for a quick meal. And then culture wise, it's rooted in American values of consistency and efficiency, but has evolved with the times. And then the last two are related to the consumer. The reflection is of who McDonald's thinks they serve as their typical customer, which is for everyone. Every time we visited, we saw families, students, workers, travelers. And lastly, the self-image reflects how customers see themselves using the brand, which in this case is practical and sometimes indulgent, like "I deserve this treat." And then moving on to the semiotic square and analysis, we use the square to understand the different types of customers this McDonald's serves. So on the left, we have the value driven on familiarity. This is the traditionalist and the price sensitive. The traditionalists, they know the brand well. They order by the menu name, such as the Big Mac or McChicken, and their brand attached. And then price sensitive, these are the customers who come primarily for affordability. They want value and a place to sit without pressure. And then on the right, we have personalized convenience. They The individuals and families, they both seek easy and efficient ordering that meets their immediate needs, whether as a solo, as a group. So the individuals, customers, they're more structured. They order by number rather than name, and they care about speed and getting exactly what they expect. And then the families, we saw parents bringing kids in after school and soccer games. They also want that low cost filling meal in a comfortable space. And to tie it all, the top axis are the McDonald's loyalists. They are the customers who come in because they genuinely want McDonald's and not just out of convenience. And then the bottom axis, our hidden group, is the habituates. These are the customers who frequent McDonald's because it fits into their routine, it's affordable, familiar, and easy to linger in. For example, elderly who enjoy sitting and utilizing the discounts.
Moving on to mythology, this project was built from four main inputs. First, our in-person observations, using McDonald's QSCNV principles to evaluate quality, service, cleanliness, and value as they actually played out in real time. Second, online reviews from Google and Yelp, which we coded into positive and negative groupings and filtered for drive-through specific keywords. Third, our research notes, everything we documented during visits and cross-reference with what customers were reporting online. And finally, the analytical frameworks we applied, including the brand identity prism, the semiotic square, and the gap model. These helped us interpret the brand's intended identity, customer perceptions, and where the experience breaks down. For this project, we visited multiple times across mornings, afternoons, evenings, weekdays, and weekends. We split into small groups to observe the service, cleanliness, and customer flow for a balanced view. As for our McDonald's drive-thru observations, we tracked all 5 of our visits and a clear pattern showed up. As you could see in the line chart, in the mornings, wait times were the quickest, usually around 6 to 10 minutes. By the afternoon, things slowed down a bit, averaging 10 to 14 minutes. And in the evening, which was the peak congestion period, wait times jumped to about 16 to 20 minutes.
So moving on to our research analysis. For our data sources, we pulled 2 main ones, online reviews and drive-through performance data as our operational metric. Since this location gets most of its traffic through drive-through, we treated that as our anchor for our analysis. And then how we analyze the reviews, we then followed a clear process. First, we coded every review into QSCV categories, labeling the sentiment, and then tallying the high-frequency words. That let us compare the digital complaints with real operational behavior. Then we compared the digital patterns to what we observed during our site visits. And so regarding online reviews, we analyzed more than 150 plus from Google and Yelp from the past 2 years, giving us a baseline. And the average rating was 2.8 out of 5 stars, and more than half of the reviews were negative, which is unusually high for McDonald's. But this imbalance immediately suggested inconsistent service quality, which matched what we saw on site.
Moving on to our positive reviews, to get a full picture of how this location performs, we started by highlighting a few positive reviews of categories that we saw that had the highest remarks. For quality, food was fresh and hot. Breakfast and coffee also came up often as reliable and consistent. Regarding positive reviews under the value category, the service was mainly fast and reliable. On the flip side, regarding the negative reviews, the biggest complaints involved cleanliness concerns. Some of the most commonly said things were about the bathroom and overall cleanliness. What stood out is that these themes aligned with almost exactly with what we experienced during our visits, especially in the front where tables were unwiped. Across all online reviews, service dominates at about 58% of total mentions, and most of those complaints come from the drive-thru. Quality 20%, value 5%, and cleanliness show up to only 17% of the reviews. Although cleanliness is mentioned less online, our visits suggested more issues than customers report. So once we knew service was the biggest problem area, we filtered for drive-through mentions only to understand what customers were repeatedly running into. When we filtered specifically for drive-through mentions, 3 main service issues spiked: long waits, wrong order, and inconsistent service.
And this brings us to our gap analysis. So gap analysis compares what customers expect versus their actual experience. For a gap 1 design failure, this happens when the setup or structure doesn't support what customers expect. In our observation, we noticed that there was a drive-through congestion and no one consistently at the front counter. And then a gap to delivery failure is when employees don't meet service standards like rude interactions or wrong orders. And our gaps for this include a lack of attention to cleanliness inside the store and inconsistent behavior during busy hours. And these two gaps became our main focus areas for improvement throughout the store. So here are our suggested recommendations for this. Our biggest design gap is drive-through congestion. We recorded wait times of up to 20 minutes and frequent order confusion where customers even had to go inside after waiting in curbside pickup. To combat this, we recommend a streamlined drive-through flow, assign a coordinator during peak hours to manage operations, and add a dedicated mobile order lane or dual drive-through. And also, to optimize traffic and staffing, add directional signs and use a timer data to match labor with demand. This will help customers line up without blocking traffic or causing confusion. And so for front register absence, recommendations for this can include improving staffing responsibilities. So the person at the front register can be primarily in charge of the front floor, including cleaning as well as the register. And then you can also optimize flow and communication. Simply adding a sign to the front to promote kiosk usage will help reduce walk-in guests from feeling ignored.
Moving on to delivery gaps, with the first being cleanliness attention. Even with the issues we're about to walk through, this location has strong fundamentals. Inside, we saw an employee doing full cleaning sweeps regularly. However, we also observed empty trash cans sitting without liners, for example. For this, we recommend having a structured cleaning routine. Implement a 30-minute rotation schedule with hourly checks by shift leads to maintain consistency. Reinforce clean habits. Add clean as you go signs and place sanitizing stations for both guests and staff throughout the dining area. And lastly, employee service. During our visits, most of the interactions were friendly, but from reviews in our visits, we noticed inconsistent, sometimes rude behavior from staff. We recommend to send reinforced standards, establish clear service expectations across all shifts with monthly refresher trainings on tone and guest interaction, encourage positive behavior, introduce an employee recognition program such as Service Star of the Week to motivate and reward outstanding performance. To close things out, most issues trace back to service and drive-through, and they match the gaps we saw in person. But this store also has real strengths, especially with staff friendliness and consistent cleaning. With a few focused fixes, the location can smooth out peak hour problems and deliver more consistent experiences overall. Thank you for watching our presentation.